important is sleep to you? Everyone has their own right to decide what the preferences are, but no matter what, starting schools at a later time will benefit everyone. As a senior in high school, I am well aware of the impact my skills start time, which is 8:10, has on everyone around me. And as I am now a dual credit student, I now have the option to come into school later, and it has greatly impacted the way that I see school. All the data I have gathered here today is also from reliable sources like School Start Later, Healthy Hours, and the American Psychological Association. Schools should begin class at 9:30 instead of the standard 8 a.m. start time with a 7:45 check-in time. Necessary sleep that students need that they're currently missing will affect their overall health, their overall safety, and the school's overall success rate as a whole. There are many benefits to having school start at a later time, but by far the most important one is students' health. The student's physical health is severely impacted by a lack of sleep, and it creates a biological inability to maintain the schedule that school systems have set up and now require for students. It's statistically proven by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine that students from age 13 to 18 need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep each night, and this is because they are developing at an accelerated rate whenever compared to adults that are 18 and older. It is also statistically proven by the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health that students undergo a shift during puberty that causes their circadian rhythms to start later. Their homeostasis system can also play a role in this, where the pressure to go to sleep increases whenever they stay up. These factors lead to all students who have to wake up early to be more susceptible to a sleep deficit. Sleep deprivation can even lead to cardiovascular disease, immunity imbalances, diabetes, and other health issues. It can also cause students to try to make up for sleep during the weekend, and that leads to them missing out on important activities like seeing their family. It can also lead into the stereotype of a lazy teenager that isn't true in today's society. So by working to start schools closer to 9:30 across the country, schools will be able to match these statistics and prevent these detrimental side effects for their students. Sleep deprivation often leads to students falling asleep in class, feeling unfocused, and an inability to think overall, according to the Journal for School Health. This is present everywhere in the school system among students, and it leads to many self-esteem and mental block issues. The adverse side effects of sleep deprivation can also be seen in students with higher rates of tardies, absences, lower grades, and overall disciplinary actions needed throughout the school system. This creates tension between students and the school. In school, these effects cause stress for everyone involved. Students are overwhelmed and emotionally unhappy. Teachers are stressed about grades, and they're straining relationships with their students in an attempt to force them to work harder, and the admin has to accommodate more and worry about if their test scores are going to be adequate that year or not. Later start times, students will have the opportunity to change the stereotype and improve their overall future, ultimately leading to more confident and healthy adults going into the workforce. Later start times have proven to be beneficial to students' mental and physical health, but it can also lower student safety risks and lower accidents. Safety for students is arguably the second most important thing that schools need to be responsible for. And sleep deprivation can lead to reckless behavior, considering it heightens emotions and causes stress. And it can also lead to substance use if they need a way to cope with the side effects, or if they're just addicted to taking sleeping pills. Sleep deprivation can also cause more fights among peers, teachers, and outside jobs or other extracurriculars, because they can't think cognitively and they have increased irritability. This strains the relationships for everyone involved and causes increased confusion among students because they often can't explain why they feel that way or what's wrong with them. Starting school at 9:30 will allow these emotions to lessen and allow students to feel more aware and comfortable in their own skin. This will in turn put parents at ease and make them confident in their students' actions going forward. For students to arrive at school by 8 a.m., they often need to get up by 5:30 or 6 a.m. to catch a bus. Others may have their parents drive them, or if they're in high school, they may drive themselves there. All drivers involved are at a higher risk of sleep deprivation, and a drowsy driver is more likely to get into an accident than a well-rested one. Those that catch the bus often have to walk in the middle of the night where they're exposed to the elements to be able to get to the bus stop and wait for someone to pick them up. Without an adequate amount of adults present in these times, the likelihood of someone being kidnapped, getting injured, or just getting sick increases. So these factors raise concern for many parents, and it causes a disconnect between the schools and the families involved. By eliminating it, the school can ensure that all students are cared for and have adequate time to get to school in a safe environment. These factors are necessary for schools to think about when deciding what time they should start in the morning. And if they adhere to these standards, then they will benefit in the long run as well. Of course, those impacted by later start times is going to be the students, but school systems and teachers can also benefit from this. School systems funding and other programs are often affected by test scores, and for teachers, they are often forced into the same rigorous schedule as students are. Schools across the country are judged yearly on their KSA scores, their ACT scores, SAT scores, AP scores, and other tests that they have to take throughout the year. And these scores are a direct result of effective teachers and engaged students. As for the teachers, they are susceptible to the same issues the students are. They are expected to arrive early, to have lesson plans, and to be engaged with every student they encounter. A teacher's ability to teach is easily inhibited by a lack of rest each day. They can become irritable and overwhelmed the same way that a student can. Test scores are also determined by how much sleep a student gets. They are more susceptible and less likely to adhere to the information that they are being taught throughout the year, and then whenever test day comes, they may be unfocused, drowsy, or not able to understand the content. With later start times, this issue can be eliminated. Test scores will improve because the students are more engaged, alert, less moody, and they will be more focused in class, and the teachers that are teaching them will also be able to be less irritable and make sure that the child is learning everything that they need to. Although many say that school start times preparing students for the real world and prevent students from going to school later than necessary, these critiques can be managed and solved. Many argue that a big reason students shouldn't have later start times is because it teaches discipline in students and better prepares them for the real world. Many also claim that if schools start later, they will therefore have to end later, and that will cause students to have less time throughout the day to work on outside endeavors. However, the standard 8-hour workday is drastically changed in our modern society thanks to COVID-19, as it has opened up avenues for online working and for part-time working. Students are also not required to get a minimum wage job. They are able to get a job in whatever field fits them best. So this ultimately means that starting school at 8 a.m. and with the idea to prepare students for the real world isn't exactly necessary anymore. In addition to this, the school day starts at 9:30, and for it to end at 3 p.m., that would be a 6-hour day for students. And that means that you could have 6 classes that are 45 to 50 minutes each, and you can still fit in lunch. We have seen this be put into practice in other schools that adhere to this later start time in the U.S. and in other countries. So this also disproves the argument we have to end later if we started later. Overall, we see how later start times would impact everyone involved. We can see how it has an effect on students' overall health, students' overall safety, and the overall success of the school system. So it's clear that classes should begin at 9:30 a.m. It is a necessary step towards improving students' overall well-being and eliminating the stigma that is surrounded by school as a whole. This will ultimately foster a positive, healthy relationship between students and the school system.